Sure, didn't he? And then stack that up again at Punchestown. He had a little injury after his second chase. But, we've had a Wincanton Racecourse gallop. He's been very good. We've seen pace out of him we've never seen before. So he's got a chance.
Okay. Well, very best of luck with all of your runners for the rest of the week, Colin. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So the first of the runners heading out onto the track for day 3. We get underway with the JLT, and it's going to be the mare Castafiore who will be out first. So you've heard Lydia make reference to her defeat of Jerry's Back in that Grade 2 at Haydock, the Alcar Novices chase back in January. Good piece of placement there. She's got more to do in this company, but here she comes. She's leading them out, heading across towards the starter course over in the middle of the track, and following her is Defi de Seuil in the JP McManus silks. He looks fairly relaxed about things. And then Kilda Sart's winner here on Festival Trials Day. Mingley Khan in the Jigginstown colours, followed by Capeland for the Nichols team. There goes Ruby on Voie de Rêve in the Wiley silks. Here's Lost in Translation. 1-1, of course, at the moment between him and Defi de Seuil. Real chasing type, Lost in Translation. The nose-banded Vindication for Kim Bailey. 4 years since he's had a Cheltenham Festival winner. Real steal in the Sullivan Bloodstock colours, and then Prava Laguna, the other mare, in the lineup. So the runners well on their way to the start. Just to reflect once again on conditions that we were talking about with Lydia out on the track, as you can probably see from the pictures now, really is quite a gusty wind, and it's just coming from really over the top corner of the stand, so it's slightly against and across. Not too bad at times down by the last hurdle and down by the last fence, but as you get a little bit higher here, and we're close to the bend out of the home straight, it keeps coming in waves. The emphasis is very much going to be on stamina, certainly if we get some strongly run races in those big field handicaps later on.
Time now to try and work out what is going to win the JLT Novices Chase, the first race on day 3. Chris Dix and Don McLean alongside me. And the best place to start is the rematch. Defi de Seuil against Lost in Translation, and you can chuck Vindication into the mix as well, Chris.
Yeah, the three of them at Sandown last time out. That wasn't the first meeting between Lost in Translation and Defi de Seuil. They're at 1 apiece, aren't they, at the minute? But Defi de Seuil was giving weight to Lost in Translation when he was beaten by him here, and he got to the front and then was worn down by Lost in Translation late. I think that they'll play him as late as possible, Defi de Seuil, and so long as his jumping holds up in what is a bigger field and more competitive scenarios so far as the pace is concerned, then I think that he's the one that they've all got to beat. He arrives here in really good nick. He's had an excellent season already, and I think that he just has the measure of Lost in Translation. But if it becomes a real test, and Lost in Translation probably the better jumper of the two, I think he'll be suited by going back to a left-handed track, then he could be a big player as well.
I like Robbie Power back on Lost in Translation as well. He gets on really well with this horse and seems to have his measure. Then the Irish contingents that we can lump together somewhat, because so many of them are trained by the same man. Willie Mullins has Real Steel, Voie de Rêve and Prava Laguna in this race. Do we assume that Ruby Walsh has chosen Voie de Rêve, Don, or is that a dangerous assumption?
Yeah, it's hard to know what way the jockey bookings work. Like Paul Townend seems to ride a lot of the Sullivan Bloodstock horses, so maybe that was a given to keep Paul Townend on Real Steel. And look, he would have gone close in a Grade 1 Novices hurdle a couple of years ago, or last year, when he fell at himself and Sharjah both fell at the final flight, but he won well at Thurles last time. He's only run 3 times over fences. Voie de Rêve, I think, is the most interesting of them, though. Ruby's mount. I don't think Ruby's ridden him since he fell at the final flight here in the Fred Winter hurdle, actually.
And will he stay?
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Like, Willie Mullins says he'll stay, or he says the jockeys who ride him keep telling him that he will stay. His form over 2 miles is very, very good. He was a really impressive winner of the Craddockstown Chase, which is always a good pointer, back at Punchestown back in November. And he's got form that's very close to Le Richebourg. Okay, he wouldn't have beaten him when he fell at the final fence last time, but he might have finished second, or maybe third, probably second behind him. And if he does improve for stepping up and trip, then he could run into it.
Kildizart is the horse we haven't mentioned. He's got good form here. Is he quite good enough, do you think?
I think he'd need to improve on what he's shown so far, and he might well do. The way that he'll improve is he's jumping getting a little bit more slick, because he's not really been 100% convincing in that department. So if he fences a little bit better, it could bring him into the mix, but I do think he'll need to improve.
Should be run at a solid gallop. The mare Castafiore is a pace pusher. Likewise Vindication, who I think will be ridden much more positively than was the case last time.
Yeah, like I absolutely, I fully agree. Like you would have thought he'd have been a 3-miler. The ease in the ground will definitely help him. Just remains to be seen how he'll go going left-handed. He's never run left-handed before.
Right, we are set to go for day 3. This is the JLT Novices Chase, run over just shy of 2.5 miles, remember, on the new course today. And time to hand up to the commentary box for race 1. The flags are up, and say good afternoon to Simon Holt.
Afternoon all. Welcome again to Cheltenham. They're coming forward. The runners inching closer to the tapes. And they're off. Racing to the first fence in the JLT Novices Chase, Castafiore on the inside of the green sleeve Vindication. Yellow jacketed Lost in Translation, wide of those. What a rev, very nearly went at the first, and Ruby Walsh was thrown forward in the saddle and has just about kept the partnership intact onto the next. And Vindication from Lost in Translation. Lost in Translation, the more fluent jump there from Vindication. 3 lengths then to Mengley Khan behind those, followed by Castafiore on the inside, then Kildesart in the green jacket, Defi de Seuil, and then Prava Laguna, and they tracked further back in the field by Cape Land, and then Real Steel around the inside of Voiderev, swinging the bottom left-hand turn, and on their way to a line of 4 fences as they head towards the grandstand for the first time. And Lost in Translation and Robbie Power by a couple of lengths to Vindication. A half length to Mengley Khan back in third. Castafiore on the far side is taking this in share of fourth, slightly out jumped by Defi de Seuil and Kildesart on the outside. Prava Laguna is further back from Real Steel, and then Capeland, and finally Voiderev. The leader reaching for that bad blunder from Vindication. A really bad mistake, and David Bass sitting tight on the inside of Mengley Khan, disputing second place. So Lost in Translation leading the way here by a length and a half to Vindication. Then Mengley Khan, followed by Defi de Seuil and Castafiore and Kildesart. Great big lead by the leader, Lost in Translation there. Castafiore just losing a place or two. Behind her then is Capeland from Prava Laguna with the white blaze on the outside of Real Steel, and then Voiderev as they jump the fence in front of the stands. A second left to travel in this opening JLT Novices Chase, and Lost in Translation by a couple of lengths to Vindication on the inside of Mengley Khan, followed then fourth by the favourite Defi de Seuil, then Kildesart out wide, Castafiore, Prava Laguna, and then Capeland, followed by Real Steel and Voiderev at the rear of the field still after that early blunder. On to the next, a plain fence going slightly downhill. Lost in Translation coming in to take it over safely from Vindication, and nearly gone was Real Steel. Real Steel made a very bad landing there and just about survives. On towards the next. This is the water jump before an open ditch. Lost in Translation, Vindication, Mengley Khan, 1 or 2 mistakes in this field. Defi de Seuil was just nudged along on landing there. Now onto an open ditch. Lost in Translation, Mengley Khan on the outside, Vindication the inside, followed then by Defi de Seuil, and then wide of these is Kildesart, Prava Laguna to the outside of Capeland. Voiderev has passed a couple, Castafiore and Real Steel are the last two as they jump the next plain fence, and now racing uphill and swinging left-handed towards the final open ditch. So Lost in Translation has made most of the running here. Mengley Khan now moving up well on the outside. Vindication towards the inside. Defi de Seuil was really asked up there by Gerritin, responded well. Vindication was a little slow. Kildesart is in 5th place from Voiderev, creeping forward on the inside as they approach the next. Lost in Translation comes in to take it on a good stride from Defi de Seuil, and then on the outside Mengley Khan. Vindication is pushed along around the inside of Kildesart, Prava Laguna, Voiderev 2 lengths to Capeland, Castafiore on the inside, and finally Real Steel at the fence at the top of the hill. This is 4 out. Great jump by the leader, under bad blunder from Capeland there, and only just got away with it and has dropped to the rear of the field. So about to run downhill now towards the third last in the JLT, and it's Lost in Translation from Mengley Khan. Defi de Seuil locked away on the inside. Vindication in the noseband. Kildesart towards the outside as they jump this one gone. Voiderev has gone. Voiderev unseats Ruby Walsh as they make their way to the home turn. Still lost in translation. Mengli Khan now ranging up to challenge in the hands of Jack Kennedy. Defi de Seuil is going to turn in third. They're chased then by Real Steel, recovering from a mistake. Vindication, hard-ridden, Kildesot and Castafiore onto the second last. Lost in translation, challenged by Mengli Khan and Defi de Seuil on the outside. The leader jumping well again. Lost in translation is finding plenty. 2 lengths clear to Mengli Khan. Defi de Seuil now rallying on the outside. Lost in translation, a great jump again, but Defi de Seuil was equally good. And they're fighting again, these two. There's 1-1 between them. Lost in translation, far side, but Defi de Seuil has the superior pace and goes a length and a half clear. And it's Defi de Seuil who clears away in the hands of Barry Geraghty to win the JLT Novices Chase. From Lost in Translation, Mengli Khan back in third, tight for fourth between Kildesart and Vindication.
The old rivals at it again in the JLT. It's now Defi de Seuil 2, Lost in Translation 1. They both run fine races, but Defi de Seuil it is that has justified favouritism in the silks of JP McManus, another festival winner for the hugely prolific owner, having taken the champion hurdle 2 days ago with Espoir d'Allen. Barry Geraghty joins the party, and he does so for trainer Philip Hobbs, whose time hill ran so well in the champion bumper, and he has several chances through the remainder of this festival. But his best coming into it was Defi de Seuil, and Defi de Seuil has been produced with a perfectly timed challenge by Geraghty to overhaul Lost in Translation, who went down fighting, and Mengli Khan has run a super race in third place, and they are nicely cleared on McLean.
Yeah, brilliant. It was such an interesting race, Nick, wasn't it? Like, there was so much happening in it. They didn't appear to go that good, big a gallop. They were a little bit of a group on the run down the hill. But as you said, Barry Geraghty was superb again. Similar to Sandown in the Scilly Isles chase, when he just held on to Defi de Seuil and delivered him just on the outside. He had the horse to go with it. He jumped well throughout. Robbie Power gave Lost in Translation a super ride in front as well. Just got him into a lovely even rhythm from get-go, and turning for home here. Mengli Khan's really travelling, but Defi de Seuil is just hunting him up in behind.
This is the very limits of Mengli Khan's stamina, but back at Cheltenham, back where he ran so well in the Supreme Novices last year, he produced his best fencing display, and it was just a question of when Barry Geraghty would ask Defi de Seuil to go about Lost in Translation.
It was, and I think having probably got past him too soon when the pair met here earlier on in the year over a slightly longer trip, he decided to wait as long as he possibly could, as he had done at Sandown, and he's just got a little bit more pace. He doesn't want to be in front too long, but once he's gone to the front, he's being kept up to his work, and he's pulled away, if anything, from Lost in Translation at the line.
It's a super training performance as well from Philip Hobbs. This is a horse who won a Triumph Hurdle, looked to have the world at his feet, and then essentially went missing. And he has come back with a vengeance this year and over fences. It's a fine testament to his skill.
It really is, Nick. And go back to that race at Exeter that he won at the start of the season when he beat Top of the Game. I know Top of the Game gave away a lot of ground at the start, but now he's won an RSA chase. Defi de Seuil's won a JLT. And there was talk when Larichburg was missing the Arkle of switching Defi de Seuil back to the Arkle, but Philip Hobbs never flinched, did he? And JP McManus and Frank Berry, this was always going to be his race. He's a 2.5 miler, and he's got that turn of foot at the end of 2.5 miles. And it's not surprising that a Triumph Hurdle winner gets 2.5 miles. They generally step up and trip, but he's obviously a top class 2.5 miler.
The winning time, electronic timing here this week, is 4:59.53. 4:59.53. It's just shy of 2.5 miles now, the JLT. All the distances were officially measured once again last week. And Defi de Seuil has ended up winning by a pretty conclusive 2.25 length.
Yeah, like even as Chris said, like Barry just delivered him with that timed run to get there at the final fence. He kind of missed the second last a wee bit. He just got in a bit tight, and maybe that kind of stunted his run a little bit. But he got there bang on at the last fence, and he had a difference to the Dipper chase here on the 1st of January when he went to the front, won his race, and then Lost in Translation got back at him. There wasn't time, and probably there wasn't the ability there because he was going away at the end and won by an increasing 2.5 lengths.
Barry Geraghty.